Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our series of webinars on business and human rights in the digital environment. And this one focuses on the Philippines. I am Lisa Garcia, the Executive Director of the Foundation for Media Alternatives. Now, these webinar series were developed by the Foundation for Media Alternatives for our project with Global Partners Digital. They hope to provide the viewers with a better understanding of the state of the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights in the Philippines and how we can promote it in the tech sector. Okay, this webinar series comprises of 4 parts. This is the introduction part, where you will know what activities FMA has conducted to promote business and human rights in the Philippines. It will also provide you with an idea of the contexts of the next 3 webinars. We will look into the following issues. Number 1, the status of the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights in the Philippines, including the National Action Plan, respect for privacy and freedom of expression in the digital environment, and proposed policy approaches to promote business and human rights in the Philippines. Before I proceed, let me first introduce to you my organization, the Foundation for Media Alternatives, or FMA. FMA is a nonprofit organization founded in 1987 to assist citizens and communities, especially civil society organizations and other disadvantaged sectors, in the strategic and appropriate use of information and communications technologies for democratization and popular empowerment. So for more information about the Foundation for Media Alternatives, you can check us out at www.fma.ph, or you can also follow us on Twitter at FMA_PH. For this project, we have already implemented the following activities. First, we have drafted 2 briefing papers to explain business and human rights in the digital environment to businesses and ICT companies and to government agencies and legislators. The briefing papers are available in FMA's website. Printed copies of these have also been distributed to relevant stakeholders. Then, on July 25, 2019, we held a Users First workshop in the Philippines where Global Partners Digital joined us in introducing the project to civil society members and representatives of ICT companies in the Philippines. The workshop highlighted the importance of respecting privacy and free expression among businesses, especially among tech SMEs. In October, FMA conducted a workshop with members of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, from Metro Manila. Around 40 representatives from different industries attended the workshop, where we discussed the importance of respecting human rights among businesses in the Philippines. In this workshop, we highlighted the need to respect privacy and free expression in the digital environment. Good practices of some companies were also showcased in this meeting. When a global pandemic was declared early this year as a result of the novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, there were still 2 activities that FMA had to implement. FMA prioritizes the health and safety of its partners. Thus, even prior to the announcement of a lockdown in the Philippines, we already canceled scheduled activities. A lockdown, or what we call here as an enhanced community quarantine, was declared on March 16, and strict quarantine protocols that had to be followed. So in consultation with Global Partners Digital, We recalibrated activities and came up with those that do not require face-to-face interaction, while at the same time being able to meet the objectives of the project. It is worth noting that the pandemic has highlighted the importance of technology and the necessary work being performed by ICT companies. With more and more people spending more hours online, we also have to monitor how people's rights are upheld or violated online. These webinar series are therefore more important to businesses than ever. To further promote business and human rights in the country, FMA developed social media cards introducing the UNGP on business and human rights and one that puts it in the context of the digital environment. In lieu of the face-to-face workshops, FMA developed modules that businesses, especially tech SMEs, can refer to help them understand how their businesses can benefit by adopting the UNGP on business and human rights. It highlights the impact of technology on rights of individuals that may be affected by their businesses, particularly the right to privacy and freedom of expression. The first webinar will look at the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights and how it applies to the Philippines. It will discuss the state of the UNGP on BHR in the country and the status of the National Action Plan. The first webinar will also identify emerging and key issues and concerns, as well as challenges in promoting and adopting the guiding principles. And finally, recommendations by civil society organizations to government and businesses will be provided. Ms. Ross Trajano is our speaker for the first webinar. She's the Secretary General of the Philippine Alliance of Human Rights Advocates and is lead convener of the Network in Defense of Human Rights, or IDEFEN. The second webinar is about respect for privacy and freedom of expression in the digital environment. The discussion will provide us with the legal basis for these rights, as well as the duties and obligations of businesses to fulfill these rights. The webinar highlights the importance of upholding privacy and freedom of expression to gain the trust and confidence of users in the products and services that businesses provide. Concrete examples will be shared to illustrate this. Attorney Jamal Jacob will lead in the discussion of the second webinar. Jam is the Data Protection Officer of the Ateneo de Manila University. He's also the Policy and Legal Advisor of the Foundation for Media Alternatives and also is engaged in consultancy work. He served as the head of the National Privacy Commission's Privacy Policy Office for the bulk of the agency's crucial first years. He's also a lawyer by profession and is a certified information privacy manager. Jam earned his degrees in law from the University of the Philippines and the University of Auckland. He also completed a short course on the EU-US Privacy Law and Policy by the Institute of Information Law of the University of Amsterdam. For the third webinar series, we will look at how ICT companies can adopt the UNGP on BHR. The speaker will also provide some policy approaches that businesses, especially small tech SMEs, can adopt in their own practices. Our speaker for the third webinar is Maria Cecilia Soria, a Philippine licensed lawyer with core practice in data privacy law. She was one of the first data privacy professionals in the Philippines when she started her consulting practice in 2017. CES holds a Certified Information Privacy Manager certification from the International Association of Privacy Professionals. She is also a founding member of Democracy.net.ph, the group that drafted the proposed Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom. CES earned her Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Law degree from the University of the Philippines. Yeah, and lastly, thank you for joining us in this introduction to the webinars. We hope that when you finish listening to all the 3 webinars, you will have gained a better understanding of the state of business and human rights in the Philippines and why it is important for businesses, especially tech SMEs, to respect privacy and freedom of expression. We also enjoin businesses to adopt the policy approaches as recommended in the webinars.